We're going to take a look at how to compare and order rational numbers. First of all, compare means to take a look at two numbers and decide which one's greater, which one's less. Order is to put numbers in order from least to greatest or greatest to least. And a rational number, keep in mind, is any number that can be written in the form of a ratio. So a whole number can be written in the form of a ratio by simply putting it over top of 1. Integers, -2, -3, could be written as in the form of a ratio by putting over top of 1. And any fraction or decimal can also be written in the form of a ratio. Less than sign is a symbol that you need to know to be able to compare numbers. The less than sign looks just like this, and you can tell it's the less than sign because it points in the same direction as an L, and it's just slanted. You could actually make the word less out of the less than sign. Greater than sign, when you read from left to right, you come to the larger side of the greater than sign first, so you can remember it's greater, and then the equal to sign. How do we compare rational numbers? Well, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can cross multiply. It's in the form of a fraction. Cross multiplication works when you are looking at two fractions. Remember that the bottom number, the denominator, is how many are in a whole. Well, if I want to compare two fractions, I might get common denominators first, and then my numerator to match. For instance, in this case, 8 and 7, a common denominator would be 56. And I would get 56 by multiplying 8 times 7. And then I would turn around and multiply the 6 also by 7. Well, cross multiplication is just multiplying the 6 times the 7, 42, and skipping the part where we get a common denominator, but it's getting the numerator that we would have if we had a common denominator. I have 42, and then over here, again, 56 would be the common denominator, and my new numerator would be, since I multiplied 7 times 8, I'd multiply the 5 times 8, which is what I would do in multiplication, and I get 40. 40 and 42, which one is the larger number? And I simply put a greater than sign in there because 42 is larger than 40. Now let's look at 9 and 3/4 and 9 and 5/9. Let's begin with the whole number 9. I'm just going to look at the fraction part now. 3/4 is 0.75. So I know that this is 9.75 if I want to change it into a decimal number. 9 and 5/9 can also be changed into a decimal number. I know that any number over top of 9 repeats, or looking at it this way, I have $9.75, and this is $9.05. So it looks like this one's larger. I could have also used cross multiplication simply by multiplying the 4 and the 5. I get 20, and by multiplying the 9 and the 3, I get 27, and again, I put the greater than sign here because 9 and 3/4 is larger than 9 and 5/9. Let's look at -3/7 and -4/11. 11 times 3 is 33, and it's negative. 7 times 4 is 28, and it's negative. And out of the two, which one's larger? Well, -28 is closer to 0. This is the larger number. And -33 is less. All right, let's go down here to the bottom. -5/7 and -7/10. I'm looking to see which one is the largest, which one's the least. And since this is in decimal form, I'm going to And change this number into decimal form also. How do you change a fraction into a decimal? Well, the number goes in the house, top number goes in the house. When changing a fraction into a decimal, the top number goes in the house. So I'm going to put 5 in the house and divide by 7. And then the 50 goes 7 times. Goes into 10 once. I get 3. And I can actually stop at this point because I have a 7 and a 1. And here I only have 0.7, which would mean like a 0 is behind it. This is 70 cents. This is I owe 71 cents, negative 5/7. Which one am I owing more? I owe more here. I owe 71 cents. So that's more negative. It's more to the left on a number line. So then this is my smaller number. Negative 7/10 is closer to 0. This is my larger number. I put the less sign in here. 2 3/5 and 2 6/10. 3/5, if I put the top number in the house and divide it out, this is going to become 0.6. So here I have 2.6, and here I have 2.6. These are equal. Comparing fractions and decimals from least to greatest. 4/5, tenths, 1/3, 65/100. I'm going to turn this fraction into a decimal. I'm going to think of it as money, and I'm going to compare it to all the rest. First, let's take 4/5 and change it into a decimal number. I know that 4/5 becomes 8/10. This is already in the form of a decimal. If I put 1 in the house and divide by 3, I get 0.3 repeating. And 65/100 is already in the form of a decimal. Which one is the least amount and which one is the greatest amount? This is 33 cents if I'm looking at it in terms of money. That 3 is repeating. 3 continues. 33 cents is the least amount. Since it was originally in the form of a fraction, I don't want to write it as a decimal. I want to write it in the form that it was originally. So I need to write 1/3 instead of 3/300. Okay, the next smallest number would be 0.5, which would be cent. And the next smallest number would be 65/100, which it would be 65 cents if I was looking at it in money. And the largest amount would be 8/10, which is 80 cents in terms of money. From least to greatest, this is my answer. From greatest to least, let's put negative 2/3, tenths, negative 68/100, and 3/4 in order. First, I'm going to take 2/3, change it to a decimal. I get negative 0.6 repeating. Tenths. Negative 68/100. And 3/4, which is like 75 cents. I'm going to order these from greatest to least, so my largest numbers. First, I'm going to look at my positive numbers. I know positives are larger than negatives. I have 75 cents and I have 70 cents. Which one's larger? 75 cents. So that's 3/4. Next, 70 cents. Now I'm looking for the next largest number, or which negative number is closer to 0. Well, 66 cents is going to be closer to 0 than 68 cents, because remember, this is a repeating 6. This is my next largest number. Which I'm supposed to write in its original form, negative 2/3. So let me fix that. And last, 68 cents. That would be the least amount of money. After we've compared and after we ordered some numbers, let's take a look at the steps to comparing and ordering. What did we do? First, we changed fractions into decimals, or with comparing, if numbers were in the form of a rational number, we just went ahead and cross-multiplied. If that's the easiest way for you to do it, that's the way you can do it. Or if it's easier for you to change it to a decimal, that's fine too. Number 2, the decimal is money. And last, which is smaller or larger? Ask yourself the question, which one is smaller and which one is larger? All right, get real. Where are you ever going to use this in real life? I mean, where do you ever compare rational numbers? You do it all the time. You don't even realize it. You go into a restaurant, I do, look at the price list. And I think, what's in my bank account, or how much is in my pocket? And I look to find what's greater than what I have and what's less than what I have. And I select from the amounts that are less than the amount that is in my pocket. Get real. Let's take a look at some of these examples. Caleb and Lauren, Mrs. Roach an apple. Caleb's apple was 6 7/12 inches in circumference. Lauren's apple was 6 65/100 inches in circumference. Who brought the larger apple? Well, Caleb's apple, 6 7/12. If we divide out 7/12, that becomes 5,800. So this is actually 6.58 inches in circumference. And Lauren's is 6 65/100 inches. Lauren's is a little bit bigger. I would say Lauren's apple was the larger apple. Let's look at another example. The amount of money each student has in his or her bank account in order from least to greatest. It's this bank account and this or bank balance, and this chart right here shows several different students in 7th grade and how much money is in their account. Madison owes $6.50. She must have been shopping and some extra money. Isaiah has $12.75. Good for you, Isaiah. You've got a little bit of money in there. Christian owes $26.33. Uh-oh. Christian, what have you been spending your money on? Noah has $105.26. Hey, good job, Noah. Jonathan owes $5.23. A little bit extra money there, Jonathan. Savannah has $29.50 in her bank account. Good job, Savannah. Go buy yourself some shoes. And Lainey, you owe $13.21 to the bank. Girl, you must have overspent in your shopping spree. All right, so we got to place those in order. From least to greatest, Christian has least to greatest, Christian has the least amount of money, so his amount would be first. He's the farthest from 0. Next would be Lainey, who owes $13.21. Third would be Madison with $6.50. Would be Jonathan with owing $5.23. Okay, now we're starting to move into our larger numbers, our positive numbers. We have Isaiah with the next smallest number at $12.75. Now, out of the two amounts that are left, $29.50 is the next smallest, and then the largest amount of all of them is Noah's account balance. All right, at this point, you need to pause your video and try these out. Graham made 7/12 of his free throws. Maya made 4/7 of his free throws. Which has a better free throw record? Well, let's find out what 7/12 is when we turn it into a decimal and what 4/7 is when we turn it into a decimal. Got to put the top number in the house and divide it out. 12 goes 5 times into 70. I get 60 as subtract, I get 10, and I have 100. 12 into 100 is 8 times. 8 times 10 is 80, and 8 times 2 is 16, so 80 and 16 is 96. And then I could keep going. I'm going to stop there. That might be enough. And 4/7, top number in the house, then goes into 40 times. 5 times 7 is 35. We subtract and get 50. 7 into 50 goes 7 times. So I have 57 here, and I have 0.58 here. If I change these decimals into percents, this would be 58%. So Graham made 8% of his free throws, while Jeremiah made 57%. They're both very close, but Graham's free throw record is a little bit higher. Graham has the greater free throw record. 3/12 and 2 2400ths. Again, I have to change 3/12 into a decimal number. I know 3/12 is 1/4. I can reduce it to a fourth, and a fourth is 0.25. 2 2500ths and 2 2400ths, 0.25 is greater. Order from greatest to least. 3/7, -7/3, -4/5, 3/8, and 5600ths. I'm going to change these into decimal numbers. .37 is where I'm going to stop here. I know that 4/5 is 8/10 as a decimal. .42 and 7 divided by 3. This is actually going to give me a whole number because 3 does go into 7. This is an improper fraction. This is -2 point something. This is a whole number. From greatest to least, 56 cents is the greatest. 42 cents. 56 cents is the greatest. 42 cents, or 3/7, is the second largest number. 3/8 is third. -2 is closer to 0 than -8 tenths. Oh, excuse me. -8 tenths is closer to 0 than -2, because this is a decimal number. And then the farthest away from 0 is -2 point, and it goes on to a decimal number, but I could stop here and still tell that it was the least.